Yeah, that's sick. All right, we are out here in the middle of the Mojave Desert, and behind me is an exciting new bike from Zero. It's the XE. Really excited to check this bike out. The test and development team from Zero invited me out to shake this bike down with them in the middle of the desert because we're getting ready to do something really fun with the bike. Race the Biltwell 100, which is a desert race that has an electric class. But we need to find out if this thing can handle it. So we're gonna go take it out, see what this bike is all about, and get ready for the race. The new Zero XE is a step in a new direction for Zero. A step that actually brings them full circle, back to where it all started 18 years ago.
There it is. Oh!
This mid-weight electric dirt bike is exactly the kind of machine that made Zero's name in the first place. And it's a category I've always been a big fan of, which I like to call the mid-size class.
Whoops! Woohoo!
The XE is sporting a 74-volt, 58 amp-hour battery, totaling 4.3 kilowatt hours. This battery is giving the bike a peak power output of 15.5 kilowatts. Zero did the unthinkable, or so it seems, speccing the bike with a 21-inch front and an 18-inch rear wheel. I know I speak for all of us when I say thank you, Zero, for not putting a 19-inch front wheel on this bike. It's suspended by a KKE fork and shock that has been tuned in-house by the talented engineers at Zero. The bike is tipping the scale at 223 pounds and has an MSRP of $6,495. The bike has Eco, Standard, and Sport mode, along with features like hill hold, adjustable regen, traction control, cruise control, and reverse. All of which are things I'm probably not going to test today, because we're here for a specific reason. And that is to get ready for the Biltwell 100, which is a Baja-style race in the Mojave Desert of California. The high-speed, whooped-out race course is going to host a bunch of classes, including an electric class. And in that electric class, Zero test rider Trevor Doniak and myself are both going to race the new Zero XE bikes. That means we better find out how these things perform in this environment. So we're going to shake the bikes down, see how they feel, and most importantly, figure out what type of battery range we can get in this flat-out desert terrain. All right, Trevor.
Okay.
What's the startup procedure on this thing?
Okay, startup procedure on the XE is turn key on. Okay. Dash will come live, and then you can, to get it out of the park mode, you can do one of two things. Either squeeze the brake levers or hit your park button.
Okay, both of them at the same time?
Yep.
Sweet.
And then let go. And then it goes to ready, and you're live.
Sweet. Yep. And is there, you got standard mode here. Is there like a sport and a eco or?
Yep, exactly. So you can hit the mode button and it will cycle through all of the modes. I'm going to run in standard for a little while. And yeah, all you have to do is hit the mode button and it changes.
Cool. Sounds good, man. So you've been testing this thing. What is the mode that you prefer when you're riding?
So it's interesting. When we first started testing, I rode a lot in sport mode. But on single track and stuff, it has like so much torque that I actually found riding in standard is actually a little bit better.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
all right.
I'm going to ride in standard for a little bit, and you know, once the SOC drops down a little bit, then I'll switch into sport.
Okay. Sweet, man. I'll follow your lead.
Right on. Let's turn your traction control off.
Okay, yeah.
So, right there. Yeah, just let go. Just one foot. There you go.
All right, cool. That's easy enough. So that's traction control off.
Yep.
Sweet. All right, man. I'll follow you.
All right.
Got the XB right there. Woo!
Hell yeah. This thing's sweet. All right, so we're out here with the crew right now, doing a group ride out here in the Mojave. So just kind of high speed, some whoops and stuff, but pretty hard pack, pretty loose on top. Just standard desert stuff. And yeah, this thing's going good, man. Right out of the gate, the bike is super fun. Try a little top speed here. All right, we're in 54 miles an hour is what I saw. Jesus. I'm glad I got that on camera. All right, so stopping in the middle of the trail, doing a high speed run, probably not the best move. "54 miles an hour right before I almost died." Yeah, dude, I was trying to see what the top speed was, and I'm like, oh, they're slowing down. Brake test.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's around like 54 miles an hour.
That's right, exactly what I saw, yeah. Right before I almost ran right into the back of you.
Yeah. Dude, what do you think of the bike so far?
It's great, man. Honestly, it's like super fun.
Dude, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was expecting, but like it feels like it can handle this. Like everything feels solid, tight on it. You know, like some of these bikes in this category, they can just feel like rattly and loose and just kind of like you wouldn't want to hit whoops on it with the throttle wide open, but on this thing, it's just taking it, man.
Takes it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for like some of the like more G out stuff, it feels a little soft right now, but
Totally.
But for the rest of it, it feels great.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I have a screwdriver too, so if you want to start clicking suspension,
Okay.
we totally can.
Sounds good. So these bikes are mirrored right now?
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool.
I mean, this one's probably going to be a little bit softer just because we have
Been
so
ridden
much
more.
time on it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, overall, man, I'm pretty impressed with this thing. And that's not even sport mode, you know?
Dude,
like that's
yeah.
standard.
Sport
That's
mode, but rips.
it's crazy.
Like it doesn't have like a good like top seat. It's like the same as standard, but
Yeah.
like you get up there so much faster.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that next.
Yeah.
What do you think about like dropping some teeth in the rear sprocket for this type of race?
Dude,
Just to
it
get a
might
little
be
more
good, yeah.
top speed out of it?
Yeah. The only thing is it would be good to test it just because like I know like our motor guys like, hey, when you start going down smaller in teeth,
Yeah.
like, the motor and everything has to work so much harder.
True.
So you might overheat it a little.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But at the same time, this stuff is so wide open, it's not like you're jerking out of corners.
True.
You know? So
you're just kind of maintaining that top end speed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least it's getting airflow.
Totally.
Yeah, first impression, this bike is feeling really good. In this environment right now, you know, it's high speed. It's like, for any electric dirt bike, tough application just because you're kind of fully tapped, but man, the bike feels solid. Not getting any weird clanks or anything, feeling loose. Haven't really gotten to get into tight turning to see how that's feeling, but yeah, I'm pretty impressed so far. Bar bend feels pretty good. It's a little too swept back for me. Probably want to rotate them forward just a little bit. That's just personal preference there. Maybe a little bit more height. So I was trying to switch modes while I was going.
Yeah.
Do you have to be stopped to switch modes? Because it didn't seem like it was changing.
Yeah.
And now that I stopped, I hit it and it changed.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. Good to know. All right, let's try sport mode out now. Yeah. Yeah, it feels good. Yeah, sport mode is pretty spicy. The top speed, top end doesn't really change on it, but the throttle response seems a bit more aggressive, snappier. I can like seemingly get the front wheel lofted easier. I'm liking that. Oh, a little swap there. Oh, big G out. So yeah, for this type of stuff, like, honestly, suspension feels pretty good and like pretty plush. At least the rear end right now, for whenever you hit some of these G outs and some of the whoops, like probably want it a little bit stiffer. But man, it's kind of, ooh, pretty nice, pretty plush. I like sport mode. What are you at percentage-wise?
I'm at 81.
Yep, more efficient. 78. So we just stopped and had a quick break. I stiffened up the shock on compression 3 clicks, and it seems like there's a bit more that we could go on stiffness, but yeah, it's like super plush, super comfortable. Some of these whoops right here though are feeling kind of wallowy in the back end, and yeah, even just 3 clicks, I'm noticing a change, which is a good thing, because a lot of times on some of the suspension, you make clicks and you don't notice any change because there isn't a whole lot going on inside the fork and shock. But on this bike, seems like there is. I am noticing a decent change on the shock after going a few clicks in, so good feedback there. Got that grit in my teeth right now, following these guys. Be a nice precursor to the race, I'm sure. There's not going to be any shortage of Mojave desert dirt in my mouth. So we're basically at a group ride right now, checking out this zone. Specific kind of riding here for sure. I would like to get this bike on some of the tighter stuff and see how the handling feels from a turning perspective. I feel like I'm not really getting that type of exposure quite yet, just because this stuff's like fairly sweeping corners and wide open, pretty straight. So yeah, it's feeling good there, but I don't think I'm really getting much of a sense for how this bike is turning in the tight stuff. Any apprehension I have right now about hitting this stuff is because I can't really see, just with all the dust right in front of me, but man, it's pretty darn good. Really nice that this bike is spec'd with a 21-inch front. Nobody seems to want to do that stock, and so Zero has done it. I'm glad that they have, because yeah, I think it's really helping the handling of the bike. You can smash through some of those whoops and stuff with confidence. It's just what this bike should have, so good that Zero did that.
Tucker, another thing to just be careful of, look for.
Yeah.
Once you get down to around like 40-30%,
Yep.
you're gonna start feeling some regen come in.
Oh, okay.
So just be mindful of that. We're working on it.
Yeah.
But like letting off, like you'll feel it.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like it hits at about like 30 miles an hour.
Okay.
And then it like goes away once it gets below that.
Interesting. All right.
Yep.
And can you change regen settings on here currently?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's it set at right now?
I don't know. It's probably set at 1.
Okay.
What I've found is there's not much difference between 1 and 3, whereas on XB there is a difference.
I noticed when I rode the XB, I just rode it right around the pit, and I was like, wow, this thing's got strong regen on it. But yeah, this one feels good. Like, I personally like more of a 2-stroke kind of feel.
Yeah.
And this one feels like that right now. So.
Yeah, like freewheel, yeah.
Exactly.
Totally.
Try to keep that battery percentage up. So 21-inch front wheel, awesome decision on Zero's part. I'm glad that they did that. Another good decision that I think they made was make this motor direct drive and not a jack shaft. I feel like once you get into these like higher power bikes that are capable of being ridden, like we're riding right now, kind of desert stuff, or just, they're capable of going hard on. And the jack shaft stuff can be problematic. Just with belt stripping, a lot of people convert it to a chain drive. It's another thing you gotta just keep tension on, another thing you gotta keep an eye on and worry about. I don't know the longevity of this design, but it feels really good right now. and the back of my mind is not worried about what that belt is looking like, because there isn't one. It's really easy to feel comfortable on this bike quickly. I don't have a ton of seat time on it already, but I just feel like I'm gelling with the bike. Easy to ride. Nothing real quirky about it. Like, it just kind of is doing everything pretty good right here, right now. And it's not taking me much time to adapt to it. Some bikes, they've got these like weird nuances that you have to acknowledge and respect. Whoops! Woohoo! Oh! Well, that took my attention for a second, but yeah, man, we're smashing whoops on this thing and it's doing great. What I was saying though, it's like pretty comfortable bike, pretty easy to get used to. Nothing standing out to me that's like glaring. Some of these bikes just have issues, you know? But this thing's fun, man. It's kind of like Zero's come full circle. If you don't know this company Zero, if you're new to Zero, they are not new to the e-moto scene. Like, they are the OGs of electric dirt bikes in the United States. They've been around so long that they've basically made a bike very similar to this like 18 years ago or something. But I feel like that bike was so ahead of its time, it didn't really get the respect that it will probably get now with the XB. Those guys were just ahead of their time, and I feel like they've gone a different direction as a result, as a company, more towards big bikes, adventure bikes, street bikes, because that's kind of what the market was seemingly asking for, I guess. But I feel like now with the resurgence of all the Sur-On type bikes, Talaria, E-Ride Pro, all that, that's why they rolled out the XE and the XB. And this bike honestly feels like a rebirth of that original bike that Zero offered. And now we're almost like 2 decades later. The technology's so much better. There's so much more knowledge. Battery tech's better. Everything is better. And it's just cool to see Zero kind of come back around and be back in the space that they started out in. I'm driving with it, man. I like this bike a lot. The photos can only tell you so much, but man, the photos did this bike justice, and it's living up to my expectations, or my hopes rather, of this bike. It's a fun one. I think we got a real contender on our hands here. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Good save, Trevor. I don't know if you caught that on camera. He hit a rock and then a whoop, and that guy's got skill. That was a good recovery. All right, so far, now that we're putting some fast hours on the bike, like, the shock to me feels like it's kind of going away a little bit. But we are just riding kind of flat out through the desert with whoops and stuff, and so not surprising, this stuff is KKE, and it's probably the best stuff that I've seen from KKE. Yeah, pretty happy with it so far, and for a stock bike at this price range, like, really pretty amazing. I don't think a lot of you are gonna want for much more if you're not riding this bike hard, but man, I can't help but think what a serious F43 fork and an R46 shock would feel like on this bike. I think you'd be in for a real competitive bike. All right, let's stop and see. No, it's not bad, actually. Pretty warm.
53%.
53, let's see. Right on your tail feathers with 49%. All right, so we just stopped and did a little bit of a regroup, see how things are going, check battery range, things like that. Skirt! Yeah, so a big part of what we're doing right now is testing battery range in the same environment as the Biltwell 100 and see what type of range we can get so that we know how to do battery swaps and when and all that stuff. And yeah, I am impressed. Basically 50% and 17 miles is really good for a bike of this size. What the battery does for the next 50%, we're about to find out, but it probably won't be as good. It's usually not double, but I think it's a pretty good sign for this bike. Obviously, we'll document it, see where we end up, but mark me as impressed right now. Yo, that's a big one. So we're just talking about like what we want to do for building these bikes out for the race. The few things that come to my mind right off the jump here is maybe running some slightly bigger tires with some more sidewall, give a little bit more cushion, a little bit more traction. Obviously that'll probably affect range a little bit, but if we had to run these, honestly, be no big deal. But we could probably afford to run some slightly larger tires. That's a whoop section right there. And foot pegs, they're not the most aggressive foot peg, and so probably want something with a little bit more bite to it. I want to run probably a different handlebar bend and some different grips. The grips are pretty slippery as it is right now. So the other thing too is it's running a 49 tooth rear sprocket, which is probably the best spec sprocket for this bike for kind of general use, but since this stuff's a little bit higher speed, I feel like even just dropping like one tooth in the rear, maybe two, if we can find a 47 tooth, but I'm sure a 48 is available. If we could just drop it to a 48, probably help with a little bit more top speed. So maybe we'll try that. If you told me that we just had to go race this bike right here, right now, the way that it is, honestly, it'd probably do just fine. And then on my upper wish list would be a Cirrus fork and a Cirrus shock, obviously. That's a pretty lofty wish list. Oh, as I hit a huge G out. I am sure you'll be able to adapt a Cirrus fork and maybe a shock to this bike. I just don't know if we will do that in time for the race or if Zero's even interested in doing that. But I think this thing would be an absolute weapon with a Cirrus F43 fork and R46 shock. But yeah, this bike comes spec'd with, you know, pretty run-of-the-mill, non-aggressive foot pegs. You see it a lot in this category. So yeah, we just want something with a little bit more aggression to keep your foot on the pegs and this stuff, because last thing you want to do is have your foot come off the peg when you're going 45 miles an hour. So really not much. It's honestly all of that stuff that I'm mentioning that I would do before a race is something I would do on damn near every bike. Like, you want to pick the right tires that you want to pick your bar bend, obviously, you want to pick your grips, what's comfortable to you. So it's draining quicker now. I'm down to 40, so I almost lost 10% just in that section.
Yeah.
So we'll probably see quite a bit more fall off now, but
yeah,
that's yeah, man, I'm kind of excited to see what the final range number is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, dude, is like, I mean, yeah, like it's gonna kind of suck at like 20%, but depending on like if we can do a battery swap out here, I mean, that would be ideal,
right?
You know, because then that way we could run a good pace the whole time. But
yep,
we'll see how, you know, how much further we go and like how far we drain it, how slow we're going.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't give this bike a full review yet, just because this is like one environment that we're putting it in, and I'd like to see it on some tighter stuff and see what it does. But for right here, right now, what we're doing, I am very impressed with this bike. I think Zero's got a real winner on their hands, and if you like this category of bike, I would be pretty excited for this thing coming on the market soon for 6,500 bucks. That's you're getting a lot of bike for not much money. So Trevor let me know that once we reach a certain battery percentage, the regen's gonna start kicking on kind of strong. I'm starting to feel a little bit more regen. Doesn't feel like very strong yet. I can notice a little slight difference. Feels a little bit lower on power and feel like the regen is quite a bit stronger. Yeah, that's sick. That's a fun section. If the quick glance that I just got at the battery percentage is correct, if it is around 30%, the bike's still like pretty quick enough right now. Still has some good spunk left to it, just stronger regen, but still super fun to ride right now. So the suspension's getting a pretty good workout. Again, I'm gonna stand by it, man. This stuff is actually really good for the price point, knowing that it's KKE stuff. I think it's like honestly out of the box, some really good stuff. It does feel like things are heating up and getting a little more wallowy right now, especially in the rear. I added a couple clicks of compression back into it, and I did a couple of clicks of rebound also. Seemed to help, but still, yeah, I think it's just, you know, we've been going pretty hard on it, pretty continuously, so stuff's definitely getting hot. And feels like it's fading a little bit. Now it's starting to feel down on power for sure. We're probably getting down closer to that 20% mark. I'm holding her wide open. Still able to go fast. But yeah, it's a momentum game right now for sure. Whoa, that's loose. Bike's still fun. This is the point right here. If we were racing, I would probably be getting nervous. The bike's feeling slower. Still able to go pretty fast, but I just don't know how much the battery's got left in it. I am fully tapped right now. We must be at 20% or somewhere right around there. I'll have to get a final read on miles, but this will be good feedback for where we need to swap batteries, that's for sure. I definitely want to be going faster than I am right now. Trevor must have some more battery percentage than I do because he's walking away from me.
We're like right there, so.
What's that?
I'm at 26 miles.
26 miles?
We've got like 2 to go.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good, dude.
Yeah, we should be fine. But yeah, I guess that's right on par then, you know, like 26 to 28 miles at like pretty close to race pace. Like that's pretty impressive.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, man.
All right, so I just popped mine over into race mode. So did Trevor. He's got 16%, I've got 12%, and we are at 26 miles right now. So range-wise, like if we were doing our normal battery range test, like what we do on the other bikes where we ride them until they're no longer fun to ride, it's not necessarily how far you can go, it's how far would you want to go. Right now, if I had the option, I'd be just going right back to the truck. I think we've only got like 2 miles left on this ride, so kind of timing it perfectly. I'm just holding it wide open, like getting up this hill maybe. Oh, geez, here we go. I am fully tapped. I was giving her all she's got to get up that. Dude, I was like, oh man, is it gonna make it?
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have too many more climbs. Because she was not liking it. Yeah, so we'll have to figure out exactly how long one lap is in this race. Because if it's much more than 26 miles, we're gonna be cutting it pretty close. So we may have to do a battery swap. Probably around the 20-mile mark, I would guess. I don't know, Trevor seems like he's got more speed, man. He's just got a little bit more battery, but maybe he's riding more efficient than I am too. But I can't keep up with him right now. And I have been this whole time, so yeah, I don't know. I am fully tapped right now. Maybe he is too. All right, there's camp right there. So yeah, we're close. Whoa! That stuff's scary when you don't have any power. Cause you need to like have some juice to loft the wheel, and I got nothing. It's an easy way to crash right there. All right, we made it. By the skin of our teeth, we made it. Man.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. 7% for me.
Woo!
What did we get? What was the total mileage of this? 28 miles?
I'm guessing probably something like that.
Yeah. All right, man. We're right on the cusp.
Yeah.
All right, just finishing up a day on the Zero XE. We also rode the Zero XB, so that video is coming out soon. Be sure to check that out. That's like the little brother to the XE, but when it comes to the XE, it's a bike that I'm very enthusiastic about. I think Zero really knocked it out of the park, especially considering the price range of this bike. I think you're going to get a lot of bike for the money, and I'm really excited to race this thing in the Biltwell 100. So yeah, going to get some more seat time on this thing. I would like to test it in some other environments, but that'll have to wait. But man, at first blush, I think Zero's got a real winner here. And yeah, looking forward to racing this thing. So let me know if you guys have any questions. We'll try to answer it in the next video when we go race this thing at the Biltwell 100. Until then, thanks for watching.